إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله قال الله عز وجل في القرآن المجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون صدق الله العظيم أما بعد. We begin by praising Allah, the one who created us, the one who gave us the ability to think, the ability to reflect, and the ability to speak. We ask Him for His help, and we seek His forgiveness in all the shortcomings that we have. And we bear witness that nobody deserves to be worshipped in any way, shape, or form besides the one and only Creator, Allah. And we bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah was the last and final prophet and messenger sent for our guidance and for the guidance of all people until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, some of you may not know, but I grew up not as a very practicing Muslim. And most of my friends, when I was growing up through high school, and even in the beginning of my college years, they were not Muslims. So the vast majority of people I used to hang around with were not Muslim at all. In fact, I had very few encounters with Muslim people or Muslim friends. And when I started practicing Islam, in my second year of college at UC Irvine, I actually took a year off of school. And when I took a year off, I started studying Islam. And I started saying, you know what, I want to learn what my religion teaches about. I want to know what Islam really is so I can, decide whether I want to go all in or I want to just stay kind of the way I am. And alhamdulillah, I chose Islam and I started practicing Islam and I rejoined school again. So I went back, I skipped 1 year of university and then came back. And all my non-Muslim friends, when they saw me at school, they wanted to know, what happened to you, man? Where you been? You were in all the classes, we were in all classes together and you just disappeared. You fell off, the face of the earth for like a year and now all of a sudden you're back. So what's going on? And, there's this natural desire where you want to tell people what happened to you, but at the same time, they're not going to understand. They're not going to be able to understand exactly what happened to me and how, I started, taking my religion seriously and now I'm practicing. It's very awkward for people who don't think about religion. They're very secular people in mind. Most of my friends, they were just agnostics. They were atheists. They don't care about religion at all. None of these things matter for them, and they don't really like to talk about these things. So what happened was, I had a natural desire to tell them, but I was hesitant at the same time, which is natural, and I think many people here in the audience, they have some of that hesitation as well. They don't want to talk to their non-Muslim friends about Islam because they're not interested, or they're assuming that they may not be interested. But I want to tell you two stories about two individuals that when I came back to university, one girl came up to me who I knew from my class, and we're just going to call her Mary to hide her identity right now. So Mary came to me and she told me, she says, it's my birthday today. Did you get me a gift? I'm thinking, subhanAllah, man, I'm trying to be a good Muslim now. I don't want to, I'm not supposed to be associating with girls this way, and why is this girl, coming to me now and saying, hey, did you get me a gift? Are you coming to my birthday party? And I'm like, where did this come from? So I was thinking, I was so hesitant. And I'm telling you this because I think many people can relate to me. Many people can relate to this scenario. What do you do when you're in this circumstance? What do you say? As a Muslim, you want to keep some distance, at the same time you want to talk about Islam, but you want to protect yourself. It's a difficult place to be in. So I decided at that moment, and I can tell you, at that point in time, one of the most difficult decisions I've ever made, very uncomfortable. I said, you know what, I have a duty and an obligation to convey the message of Islam. As uncomfortable as it's going to be, I have to do it. So I decided I'm going to give her a copy of the Quran for her birthday as a gift. Because she asked me for a gift, I said, I'll give you a gift. I packaged up a copy of the Quran and I wrote a note, and the note said, I'm giving you, in a nutshell, the note said, I'm giving you a gift which may seem very strange to you. It may seem very awkward that I'm giving you this as a gift. It's a book, it's not something that you're normally used to. But I'm saying from my perspective and the change that I've gone through in my life, I'm giving you something which I hold to be the most valuable thing that I have in my own possession, in my own house. And I'm giving it to you, and I hope you take it and understand as a good gesture, that I'm giving you something that has the most value to me, and I want to share it with you. So I gave it to her. And I said, Bismillah, I don't know if she's going to change. This is a girl who used to be in nightclubs all the time. This is a girl who used to do drugs, and I don't just mean soft drugs. So I gave it to her. I said, let's see what happens. And the most interesting thing happened. And that was that another friend of mine, his name, let's just call him Jeff, okay? Also, he was my roommate in dorms and everything like that. So he comes to me, and he sees me giving this book to her, and he tells me, he says, man, you're wasting your time. Why would you give somebody a book like that? That girl, she's a druggie, she's just partying and she's clubbing and all that. She wouldn't be interested in that. And after some time went by, basically what happened was, she didn't even open the book. He stopped by her apartment one day, they were doing some school project, and he said, you know what, it's been weeks, and I saw the copy of the Quran you gave her, it's still sitting in the plastic wrap. She didn't even open it. Now imagine I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, what a failure. Nothing succeeded. She didn't even open the plastic wrap. I put in all this effort, you put your whole heart into it, and you say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And she didn't even care to open the plastic covering of the Quran, which means she didn't even read a single page, she didn't even care to open it. So this is the strange thing, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up doors from where you would never expect. This brother is an atheist, clear, avowed atheist. He doesn't believe in Islam. He doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe in anything. So he tells me something very strange. He says, you wasted your time giving it to her, and you wasted your money. You shouldn't have given her that copy of the Quran. And this guy is not a Muslim. So I said, I'm trying to defend myself, right? So I said, I had an extra copy lying around, and I didn't have anything else to do with it. I wanted to give it to someone. So he's like, well, you should have given it to someone who would at least benefit from it. I said, well, I thought maybe she would appreciate it or something like that. He said, yeah, well, she's useless. Why'd you give it to her? I said, well, who should I give it to? And then he gives me the hint. And I'm sitting there, I never think this guy would ever ask anything. He said, well, if you gave it to me, if you gave it to someone like me, at least I would have read a little bit of it. I said, oh, the brother's asking me for a copy of the Quran, and he's actually showing interest in Islam, and I couldn't see it. And if I saw it, I was just denying it and saying, no, this guy would never be interested. This guy is not concerned about these things. So to make a long story short, this is really interesting. I give him a copy of the Quran, another one that I had, and he becomes upset and he says, you gave her a nicer copy. Mine doesn't have the plastic wrap on it. And it was like a little bit used copy. And he's like, hers looks so much better. So why don't you get hers back and we switch? I said, no, I can't do that. Alhamdulillah, within a few days, this brother, Jeff, accepts Islam and takes his shahada. He goes and he starts telling this other girl, Mary, he goes, he gave you the Quran first and you didn't even accept Islam. And I've accepted Islam. Right? So alhamdulillah, we're praying together. He's joining with the Muslim student union. He's coming in and everything. And then all of a sudden, one day, the girl comes to him and says, I'm ready to accept Islam. To him. It's shocking. And we say, what is your story? How did this happen? You didn't even open the Quran. She says, let me tell you what happened. And I'm telling you this because you never know where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to open the door from. She said, one day, I'm sitting in my apartment and I'm extremely bored. I have nothing to do. So I decide, you know what? Let me light up and let me smoke some weed and get high. So she lights up and she starts smoking marijuana and she's high and she's walking around her apartment. And when you're high, you start laughing at everything. You find everything to be interesting. So she goes around, she starts looking at her TV and laughing. Oh, the TV is so interesting. And she goes over to the VCR and she's touching it and everything. This is so interesting. And then she found a copy of the Quran. And she's like, what is this? She forgot what it was. So she opens the plastic wrap and she starts reading it. And she's looking at it and going through it and say, oh, this is so interesting. Now, obviously, she didn't accept Islam when she was intoxicated, okay? But the next day, she left that copy of the Quran on the table and it was open because she was reading it the previous day because she was thinking it's interesting because she's high. And then she goes, yesterday, this book was interesting. Let me see what was so interesting about it yesterday and see if it's still interesting today. She starts reading the Quran, and within a few days, she accepts Islam. Within 1 week, she gives up all drugs, all drinking, all clubbing, everything, like literally cold turkey, alhamdulillah. But what I really want to tell you about is that years passed by, Mary is still a Muslim today. But Jeff left Islam. And the question we have to ask ourselves is, what happened? Why? And is there anything that we did not do? Is there anything that we as a Muslim community or I as a Muslim individual who introduced them to Islam that we have fallen short in? And that's what we need to seriously reflect upon. Because one of the things that's happening today is Islam is spreading. And people are entering into Islam. But what's not happening is that as soon as the Muslim community gives that sincere takbir and they say Allahu Akbar when somebody declares their shahada inside the masjid, how much follow-up is there afterwards? Where is that social group that they can join? Do they feel welcomed? And most importantly, many people don't understand that people who are new to Islam and their family, their parents are not Muslim, they have a specific set of challenges that people who grow up in a Muslim community don't understand at all. You don't know what it's like. If you grew up in a Muslim community or a Muslim family, even if they're not practicing, you don't understand what it's like to encounter certain things. You don't know what it's like when it's Christmas time and you're thinking, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be sitting at a table where they're drinking in front of me and they're literally, worshiping Jesus. What do you do? It's a situation which many people have never faced before. What do you do when you're stuck and you've been, doing so many things in your past and now you're asked to give them up and you're ready to? But you have a group of people who are after you to bring you right back into the same lifestyle that you were in previously. These are all things we need to understand. And if you look at it, you go across the country, from masjid to masjid, you find that two places where people accept Islam the most is inside of a masjid and online. And the reason why they accept Islam inside a masjid is because one of their Muslim friends or some Muslim in the community comes and says, hey, I've introduced Islam to this person, they want to declare their Islam. And what's the first place that they decide where they should declare their shahada? Right here in the masjid. This happens all around the country. But around the country, in every single masjid you go and visit, from large centers to small centers, almost none of them have any type of new Muslim support group that's there. Let alone any type of da'wah group that's going out and systematically calling people and delivering the message of Islam to others. And this is what I want to tell you about, is that alhamdulillah, I'm blessed and I'm honored to be part of a community, the Islamic Institute of Orange County here, that has actually realized the problem. Many people realize the problem now, and we've been talking about the problem, but that realized the problem and decided that we're going to do something about it. That we're going to take things to the next level and we're going to try to fulfill our responsibilities. So I want to tell you briefly about what we have. Many people don't know, because this is what happens. You're like, you know what? There's Sheikh Muhammad, Faqih here, and then you have me here, and you have some other people here. So what do? They lead the prayers. I mean, if you come for Friday prayer, and that's all you come, what do you think? When you walk out, what happens in the masjid? You only know Friday prayer, there's parking going on, food is being sold, there's some socializing, and that's it. because you don't come the rest of the week. You don't know what other activities are happening. Those who do come, and you walk in the masjid anytime during the week, you may come at 6:30 p.m. and you walk in, this place is kind of empty. Looks like nothing's going on around here. So you think that maybe nothing's happening inside the masjid. So I want to fill you in briefly about what this institution is actually doing concerning the things that I just talked to you about, in terms of spreading the message of Islam, in terms of following up with new Muslims, in terms of developing a support group for them. We actually have 3 committees under the outreach committee, under the Dawah and Outreach Committee, of which I'm the director of that outreach program. We have internal Dawah, which means calling people to Islam from an internal perspective. When they come in, they accept Islam. We have external Dawah, and we have a prison outreach program as well. So let me tell you something about our Dawah program. One of the things that we had, 47 people accepted Islam just this year in 2015. And that's actually down from the previous year, for seasonal reasons. So 47 people accepted Islam. That's almost an average of 1 person per week accepted Islam right here in this masjid. Primarily from leads that came directly from this masjid. We distributed 60 new Muslim kits to different people in different communities, because they're not only accepting Islam here, we go and we distribute a new Muslim kit which the vast majority of different masajid and different communities, they don't have. So there's other masjids that come in, they tell me, you know what, mashallah, someone accepted Islam in our masjid. And I go and I ask them, I said, and what happened afterwards? I said, yeah, everyone greeted the sister, everyone greeted the brother, and they were so happy. I said, what happened after that? I said, what do you mean? That's it. I said, that's it? The person just went home? Did you give him anything? Did you give him a copy of the Quran? Did you give him a book on how to pray? Did you give him some information about Islam? Did you say, I'm going to meet you later on? Did you do anything beyond that? And the vast majority of masajid, they don't have anything, even to give, let alone to set appointments. So what we've done is we've established a new Muslim kit that not only we give internally to people who accept Islam here, but we go to other masajid and other organizations and say, look, you keep these kits on hand. And if anybody accepts Islam at your organization and you're not able to do anything else, at minimum, give them one of these new Muslim kits. It has some good, clean, it has some proper reading which will guide them rather than confuse them. Because sometimes, Muslims in the community, I'm going to tell you very honestly, sometimes they get very excited and they're like, you got to watch this movie. I really liked it a lot. But you don't realize it was good for you because of your development as a Muslim, because of your historical and cultural experiences. But it may not be good for that other person. It may confuse them even more. Imagine someone accepts Islam. Now we need to discuss about which madhab you should be following and all these other things. We should discuss about, how you should, which group are you really going to belong to? Which movement are you going to be a part of? They just accepted Islam like a day ago. And you're going to start discussing these things with them. It doesn't make sense. So we have to be cautious about what literature we give people, about what messages we give people, because they're starting new. And it can be very overburdening. So we distribute these new Muslim kits as well. We have weekly programs. A weekly program called the New and Recommitted Muslim Class. And it's very popular and it's very successful, because part of the thing when somebody accepts Islam is they need a venue. They need a place to go on a regular basis where they can get their questions answered. They don't feel like calling sometimes. They're very shy sometimes. You come and you give them, an opportunity to come and meet with everybody else. And this is precisely what we do, and it's very, very beneficial and valuable. We have social events like Eid. If you think about it, somebody who accepts Islam, on the day of Eid, most of us here in this room, who do we spend time with on Eid day? Our families. Except the new Muslim doesn't have a Muslim family. And sometimes their family is actually boycotting them. So where is their family? We're supposed to be their family. There's supposed to be something set up specifically for that. And when you go and you ask Muslims, they say, well, it's going to look awkward. My uncle is not going to feel comfortable, that there's a white guy here, or there's like a Latino guy here, because we're all speaking in a different language. And the guy's not going to feel comfortable himself or herself. So there needs to be a venue. There needs to be a way where people can feel connected. Be part of the Muslim community as well. So we have things like that where we have social events like Eid dinners and Eid breakfasts and things like that. We have pamphlets that we're distributing and we're actually passing out in different places, which I'll talk about in a moment. We're passing out pamphlets. We're passing out copies of the Quran. We have tablecloths, we have banners, we have all of these things. And what we do is, and many of you probably didn't know this, we actually go to the different malls. Maybe you've seen us, IAOC, at your local mall, where maybe we went to Irvine Spectrum. We went to the outlets at Orange, formerly known as The Block. Went to Brea Mall, went to Cerritos Mall. Set up a table. And not a confrontational table like, some Bible thumpers can be very, aggressive in your face. Not that approach. Alhamdulillah, our people are very well trained. So they're there and they say, would you like a copy of the Quran? Do you have any questions about Islam? Every time something happens, when there's some incident that happens in Paris or some incident that happens somewhere else, there's all this media. I don't even need to tell most people. They know. But the question is, how are we conveying the message of Islam to other people? Fox News and CNN is louder than what we could potentially do in this masjid. But we still have to do our part. So we go and we set up at different venues. And we distribute literature on Islam, and literally people come up to the table and they say, where have you guys been all this time? Every time I watch on the news, something happens and I'm thinking, where are the Muslims? And I know we don't control those media stations. They won't give us the airtime that we should rightfully have or that we deserve to respond. But this is a good start in the right direction. And every single Muslim is concerned about Islamophobia today. And one of the ways you can challenge it, and one of the ways you can offset it, is by supporting programs like this. And then we go to different Muslim student associations, and we train the students that are there. So we've gone to Cal State Fullerton, we've gone to UC Irvine, we've gone to Golden West College, we've gone to different schools, and we're training the Muslim students on campus on how to actually convey the message of Islam to other people. How to actually respond to questions when people ask. Because in my day, like I said, I'm just handing a copy of the Quran because I have zeal, but I don't really know what I'm doing. And alhamdulillah, some people accepted Islam by the grace of Allah, even without knowing what to do. Imagine if people were trained and they knew how to speak. They knew how to respond to questions. They knew how to present a good way of presenting Islam in a very balanced manner and a very wise manner. This is what we're trying to do here at IAOC. And the last thing I'll talk about is our prison outreach program. Our prison outreach program is something very interesting. Basically, there are Muslims across the country who are incarcerated. And many of them, they actually accepted Islam when they were in prison. Which means that technically they're quote-unquote new Muslims, or they're converted Muslims. But they've been Muslim for like 10 years, for 20 years. And the thing is that they have almost no access to any Islamic resources whatsoever. So I get phone calls in my office coming from non-Muslims in Chicago, non-Muslims in so-and-so, and they say, you know what, we have Muslim prisoners here in our prison, and we don't know what to do with them. They have questions, they want to talk to someone, they want to write to someone, but whenever we call a mosque, there's no response. They don't even respond back to us, our local mosque. And I'm not putting everyone under the bus here. But alhamdulillah, IAOC has a reputation where we do respond. And we do have these services. And we have these programs. So let me tell you something about maybe you didn't know that we have a prison outreach program. What we do is we have some brothers who are going out and visiting inmates in different prisons. We've gone to 50 different prisons across the state of California. 50 different visits to prisons across the state of California. Now if you're a normal masjid goer, you probably don't know this because you can't see it. You can't see that all of this is happening, but it's happening. We have donated $5,000 to sponsor 11 Eid banquets. And I don't think you understand how important an Eid banquet is. These are prisoners who on the day of Eid, they get nothing. It's just a normal day. So let them have, a falafel or something like that. Sponsor and let them eat some meat on the day of Eid. Give them some opportunity for this. So this is what we're doing. And we've distributed 500 Islamic books and magazines to the people because they have time to read. They really have time to read, and they read. We have 15 students currently enrolled in our College of Islamic Studies courses in prison, and we have another 40 people on the waiting list just waiting for us to send them the materials to sign them up. This is a 10-week, an 11-week class. We sent the materials. Some of them, within 10 days, they read everything, answered all the questions, did the essays, and sent it all back, said, I'm ready for the next class. SubhanAllah, these are dedicated brothers and sisters that are there, and somebody needs to serve them. So the reason why I'm telling you all these things is because all of this requires a great amount of effort. The first thing you can do is value and appreciate the services that are being offered here. The second thing you can do is to realize what effect it has on them and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant these type of programs success and to give us the ability to continue doing what we're doing. And the third thing I would ask is to support these things financially as well, because it is not only dependent upon volunteers, but it's dependent upon volunteer management. And if we want to do something properly, we need to go beyond just haphazardly doing things. One of the things that we strive for at IAOC is to develop a level of professionalism. And this is what we're trying to do. So please support us in this. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us at all times. Ameen. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa lisa'ilil muslimin. Fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ba'd. So I was talking, for those of you who came late, about the importance of conveying the message of Islam and the importance of taking care of people who enter into Islam from all the different venues, all the different avenues that we can. And at IAOC, I mentioned the different programs that we have going on and how it's very important that we support these programs in different ways. Let me read to you just two things and then I'll conclude. One of the inmates responded when we sent them an Eid card. Just a simple card on the day of Eid. We decided, let's send them a card letting them know that here at the Islamic Institute of Orange County, your brothers and sisters, we love you and we've not forgotten you. If you think you are forgotten, we have not forgotten you. We're there and we want to wish you a blessed Eid. One of the brothers responded from the California Men's Colony. He said, to most people, the Eid card is nice, but nothing beyond that. He said, to me, it's a lot more than that because my own family doesn't correspond with me. They don't even talk to me. But out of the love of Allah, there are people who never knew me. They accept me just because I'm a Muslim. And I feel like my flaws and my past doesn't matter to these people. I'm actually on the verge of tears. He said, I'm about to cry right now while I'm writing this. And I'm grateful to know that somebody cares because a lot of the time I feel so unimportant and insignificant. This brother, from just receiving an Eid card, responded back to this, and this is only one of the letters that we got. And another brother who's responding back and saying that he benefited from the courses from the College of Islamic Studies, this is what he wrote. He said, I benefited from the quizzes and the essays I had to do as part of the course. It caused me to think deeper about some of the events that took place, and it increased my familiarity with the seerah, the life of the Prophet, peace be upon him. It was engaging, it was enlightening, and it has increased my iman, and it has increased my love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So brothers and sisters, this effort is something that all of us need to do, all of us need to partake in, but not everyone's going to have the same amount of time to dedicate for it. So after the salah is over, Sheikh Muhammad Faqih is going to be asking all of you, inshallah ta'ala, for your support. I strongly, highly encourage you. Please stick around just for a few minutes. Most people are kind of off work or they have a half day or something. Stick around for a few minutes and try to support this program, inshallah ta'ala. There's also a table outside where you can find out more about what these outreach programs and these dawah committees are actually doing here at the Islamic Institute of Orange County. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us and guide us at all times. O Allah, allow us to be ambassadors of Islam. O Allah, guide our tongues and guide our hearts to say that which would please you and that which would benefit benefit us in the next life. O Allah, open the hearts and minds of people to understand what the true teachings of Islam are. O Allah, remove the misinformation and the propaganda that is being spread about Islam. O Allah, help those people who are sick, those people who are suffering, those people who are ill. O Allah, allow us to thank you and allow us to be grateful for everything that you've given us. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Before we start, a few quick announcements, and that is, the first thing is that parking. There's an issue going on with parking, brothers and sisters. In Stater Brothers, where people are parking, there are security guards that are directing people to park in the right place. Some people here are not listening to those security guards. It's very important that we park legally. I don't even want to talk about the ramification. It's an Islamic obligation. When you're not allowed to park in a place, you don't park in it. And if you go and park somewhere where you're not supposed to be parking, and then you come for the Jummah prayer and say, well, I'm going to get reward from Allah because I made it on time, you need to really think about what you're doing. You're going to violate somebody else's rights and then come to Jummah and think that that's going to somehow offset everything that you've done. Think again, brothers, please. And Ramnia, there's a new law. On Ramnia Street, on that side and other places, there's a new sign that says you have to have a permit to park there. So for your own protection, be careful about that. Number two, tonight we have a Family Friday Night program called Gratitude in the Quran with Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. Number three, there's a marriage and finance seminar for sisters only that's going to be taught by me on Thursday, December 3rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Check out our website for more details. There's a fiqh of salah class in the Urdu language every Tuesday at 11:35 a.m. There's an IAOC Umar trip. More information with Sheikh Muhammad Faqih. More information is on our website. And again, please, after the salah is done, please stick around and listen to the announcement that Sheikh Muhammad has. Wa aqim as-salah.